Hello and welcome to the as of yet unnamed Biblepay Show. I am your host, 616 Warmouth, and my co-host on the right-hand side is Togo. How you doing, Togo?
Doing good.
Great to hear. It is the 19th of May, so if you're watching this a year or two from now, you may say, wow, some of this stuff seems pretty outdated, and that's because it probably will be. Nonetheless, Biblepay is a cryptocurrency. It's called the cryptocurrency for Christians. We celebrate the fact that we help a lot of causes through our charitable arm. 10% of the emission schedule goes to charity, so 10% of the new coins that are minted go to charity. And one of the ways we generate coins is through what we call proof of distributed computing, which is through the Berkeley Open Interface for Network Computing System, BOINC. You may have heard of SETI at home. Well, we participate in a couple of the projects there, and our users get rewarded based upon their contribution in part. The goal here is we'd like to do this show about once every couple weeks. It's kind of tough to say if that will happen, but we are here now, and we're happy to be here. Or at least I am. I don't know about Togo. Looks
I'm happy to be here.
Good deal. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at in Biblepay and how we got here. Biblepay started in July of 2017 as a fork of Dash, essentially, and has evolved into its own brand of mayhem and fun, and is doing a pretty good job at staving off being GPU driven. And that was one of the goals, is to stay a CPU-only coin. We're one of the few coins out there that has lasted this long as a CPU coin. Most end up going to GPUs or ASICs, and that's not necessarily in and of itself a bad thing, but that does give us a unique niche in the market. You want to talk a little bit about the emission schedule there, Togo?
Sure. So currently, there's about 630 million Biblepay coins in circulation, and by the year 2050, there's a max of about 5.2 billion Biblepay coins that will ever be minted and brought into the world. And currently, there's 205 blocks a day, and they're about 7-minute average block times that each block is mined. And if you're proof of work, heat mining, the reward's about 500 Biblepay coins. And if you're proof of distributed computing, PODC mining, the reward's based on how many coins you have staked and how much rack that you're contributing. Rack is your recent average credit.
And that's actually calculated by the BOINC, BOINC. It's a lot easier to say, and that's how most people say it, BOINC. Plus it sounds fun. Boinking for science. And it's like scientific progress goes boink. You probably don't remember Calvin and Hobbes, but that was a thing back then.
Oh, I love Calvin and Hobbes.
Scientific progress goes boink, but it's not spelled the same way. Nonetheless, we're right now, right before we started recording, we were at block 47,516. As Togo said, we strive for 7-minute blocks, which would put us at 205 blocks a day. What I often refer to 205 blocks is a coin day, because sometimes that takes 25 or 26 hours, but there are certain things like the proof of distributed computing reward, which is calculated once per day, and that's once per coin day, not once per calendar day. So the other thing is a coin month, which is 30 sets of 205, or 6,150 blocks, and a coin month is when we do our budgetary super block. So for mining purposes or for block distribution purposes, when you have a block, the maximum size is 20,000 coins, and it's broken up into several components. 38.5% goes to proof of distributed computing, 38.5% goes to sanctuaries, or we call our master nodes, 3% goes to heat mining, or proof of Biblepay hash, which is based loosely on X11, but is also based on a hashing algorithm that, and I don't even quite understand it, somehow hashes the King James Bible, which I think is amazing. And then 20% is reserved for budgetary purposes, 10% is for charity, and through charity, how many orphans are we sponsoring through compassion.com?
I'm not sure how many, but I know in total the amount of orphans that we're helping every month is 329 right now, and that's through 3 charities: Compassion, Bloom, which is a Be Love Orphan Outreach Missions, and Cameroon One.
And then 10% of the overall coin emission schedule goes to our general budget. Half of that is reserved for IT, or progress to work on the coin, so 5%. 2.5% is reserved for public relations, which is, generally speaking, advertising. This show could conceivably be something like that, but I enjoy doing this a little bit too much. And then 2.5% goes to what's called P2P, the letter P to the number 2 and the letter P, which I've always heard stood for pay to preach, or generally speaking would be for religious outreach. There's a lot of people involved in the coin. You can find out about the coin on Bitcoin Talk. You can find out about the coin on Reddit. You can read up on several other websites. We'll take you to a few of them as we go through our day today. You can join our Slack or Discord channels. Am I missing anything? It seems like I am.
Follow us on Twitter.
Subscribe
to the Reddit.
We don't really have
join the Discord.
We don't really have an active Facebook presence yet, which I don't know.
We'll get there.
I'm kind of ambivalent on Facebook, so I'm not real disappointed. But looking at where we're at now and where we were actually, so I said we're at, when we started this show, right before when I was pulling the data, we were at block 47,516. The next super block for PODC, Proof of Distributed Computing, was going to be block 47,560. And on block 47,500, I guess it must have been 15, the reward was 5,040 Biblepay, of which 504 went to miner, whatever miner solved the equation, and 4,536 went to one of our 216 masternodes. And the masternodes do what they do on a lot of other coins, and we're not really here to explain a lot of technical details on everything. We'll try and touch on a lot of things, but if you want to have a better understanding, you may need to do a little research beyond this show. Maybe in the future we can do some more in-depth tech stuff. But the 216 masternodes basically get one reward in sequence, so with 205 blocks per day, not quite one reward per day. So,
we can talk a little bit about the masternodes.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so the masternodes, you get rewarded for locking up some of your coins, and by doing that, you also get a vote in how the budget is spent. So each masternode, each sanctuary you get one vote. And these sanctuaries, they allow us to do private send, so you can privately send coins. They allow instant send, so you can instantly send your coins. And I think they're also helping out with the proof of distributed computing.
Yeah, they've actually
downloading data files and stuff.
They do the back end calculations for how the Team RAC, recent average credit, or RAC, how it gets split up. So in proof of distributed computing, which we'll get to in a little bit, but basically whatever your scientific contribution is to one of these two projects that we're involved in, whatever share of the work your computer or computers have done, that's what share of the daily reward you get. And right now the daily reward is about 1.16 million coins. Gets split up among, I don't know, we'll look at it when we go to Biblepay Central. I'm not associated with them, but I'm putting in a plug for them. So let's look at the website firsthand. How about that? So
sounds good.
We've got the Biblepay website, and on the website, if you go to downloads, you'll see that the current version is 1.1.2.4. So as long as you're on version 1.1.2.4, you're current. Now the last mandatory version was 1.1.2.2. So if you're mining or participating, you need to have at least version 1.1.2.2, or there is some risk that you could lose coins, and we would not want that to happen. Above that, we see the exchanges. The cryptocurrency exchange, also referred to as CSEX, South Exchange, and how do you pronounce that? Quix?
I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I've just been saying QIEX.
I like words. But that's our main page, and that's where you would get started. Let's see, what else we got going on? So we want to talk a little bit about proof of distributed computing. Shall we talk about that next? Because
sure.
This to me is the amazing thing about Biblepay in recent history. Now, sponsoring 329 orphans, and that's one thing people sometimes get hung up on the linguistics of. Not every single person, every single child that's sponsored is truly, in classical definition, an orphan without parents. But they are in a very disadvantaged situation and need some help to make it through their lives. But looking at proof of distributed computing, so what kind of predicated this was there was thought that when we were just heat mining, like it's referred to, or proof of Bible hash mining, it was thought that maybe we were under the influence of a botnet, and that a maybe criminal element, or at least an unwarranted element, was mining a large degree of our coins, or as I put it one time, it's a shame to think that maybe 3 times as many coins are going to people that are dishonest as are going to our orphans. So when proof of distributed computing came around, we tested it. Our group at Rosetta at Home was the first project that was selected by the developer, and it is kind of similar to the project a lot of people have heard of called Folding at Home, but it's doing a little bit different work. I one time read a comparison of the two, and I'm not scientifically minded enough to explain. I was barely scientifically minded enough to nod when I thought I should. So we started beta testing proof of distributed computing back in February of 2018, so just about 5.5 months ago. On March 6th, proof of distributed computing went live, and on March 30th, a second project was added called World Community Grid, which is actually a very large project. They have many sub-projects in them. So to talk about how big an impact Biblepay is making on the world, 329 children's lives are currently being changed due to Biblepay. Due to, and if you're part of Biblepay, you're part of that. And if you're part of the proof of distributed computing or research mining, I've heard it called, you're part of helping advance scientific progress against typically diseases or social ills. So at Rosetta at Home, we have been a part of that project, which is a 13-year-old project, since February 7th. And as of today, we are the number 9 team overall in all-time credits, meaning from 13 years ago, back in 2005, or 2000, until now, we've done more work than all but 8 other teams ever. And in what's called your RAC, your recent average credit, which is a measure of your current work, we're first overall. 502 million overall credits, 7.9 million RAC, and yesterday we did 7.8 million credits of work, which if you're a PODC miner, should tell you that our RAC should be stabilizing. We're 9th overall in total credits, first in RAC, and in about 2 days from now we'll be 7th, and in about 2 months from now we'll be 3rd all time at the Rosetta at Home project. It blows my mind to think how well we've done at Rosetta at Home. But I want to bring up the Rosetta at Home website here. It's Rosetta. It's boinc.bakerlab.org/Rosetta. And I'm going to go to my account, and we're going to go Team Biblepay, and there it is. Started February 7th, 511 million credits. Our recent average credit is 7.9, and we are in the top 1% in average credit, which you would think that would be the case because we are number 1 overall, so we better be in the top 1%. But these things sometimes confuse me a little bit. But that's the number 1 cool thing. Going back to the other project we're a part of, which is called the World Community Grid. That one is, again, sponsored by IBM, and it is at www.worldcommunitygrid.org. We'll bring up their website if I hit the right buttons. Let's see, button 1, button 2, there it is. And so that's the World Community Grid. We're part of Team Biblepay there. And one place you can go to get statistics on is FreeDC. That's where I usually go. It shows how things have been going. It's pretty informative. It's where I gather a lot of my data. If you're ever on Slack or Discord, about every 3 or 4 or 5 days, I spout off how we've done in the last little bit of time. And that's where I get it from, is FreeDC. And their website is stats.free-dc.org. And they have a whole bunch of different BOINC projects there. But I am amazed at World Community Grid, which is also a pretty long-lived project. We've only been involved with them for about 50 days. And we're 300th all time. 300th all time in total credits. We're 9th in recent average credit. And if you want to know, have we ever talked about who's number 1 in recent credit at World Community Grid?
I don't think we have.
I know you can see my screen, so I don't want to spoil it. Just guess. Just guess. Because here's there's a few other coins that use BOINC BOINC to factor into the generation of their coins. The original one is Gridcoin, of which we owe a lot to. We're getting a lot of people from Gridcoin over here that are looking to see what we do, and we've actually got one of the pool developers that developed GRC Pool is actually developing a Biblepay pool to kind of help with the staking problem, which we won't get real far into, but in short, you have to hold a certain amount of coin to stake. Really, I like to say Biblepay, unfortunately, in some ways is more of a proof of stake coin than a proof of work coin, because even to do proof of work, proof of Biblepay hash now, you still need some stake, because you have to have some magnitude, and to get magnitude you need RAC, and that unfortunately is kind of the burden we face in trying to get over that and kind of educate that, because it is kind of a big technical mouthful for new users, and if we get to the point where we can do something a little easier, that would be great. But again, we're kind of still a new coin. But the number 1 team, World Community Grid, it's a little organization you might have heard of called International Business Machines, or IBM. Yeah, our rack, our daily recent average credit is 1.5 million. Theirs is 9 million.
Oh wow!
So whereas at the Rosetta at Home project, we are number 1. We surpassed Gridcoin by a couple million actually now. At World Community Grid, it'll be a much harder road to hoe. But I really do think we'll probably be pretty competitive, because right now we're 9th overall in Team Rack at World Community Grid. Whew! I need a breath. You got something to talk about real quick?
Sure. And just like you were saying, 10% of all Biblepay coins go towards charity, and we are funding 329 orphans a month. And not only that are we helping the world, we're now running these CPU programs, these science programs that are helping solve cancer, solve AIDS, solve Alzheimer's. So Biblepay is just an amazing project that's really benefiting the world.
And I wish at some point we're going to try and talk a little bit more about BOINC BOINC, and especially the World Community Grid and Rosetta at Home. But for this, we're trying to keep it a little bit more compact, although I imagine this will be a lot longer than my target 10 or 15 minutes that we originally said, we can get this done in 10 or 15 minutes, surely. But let's go look at the markets right now. So this is tell your science fact of the day that you told me about CoinMarketCap.com.
So I actually found out that CoinMarketCap is the number 1 viewed used cryptocurrency website by traffic.
Yeah.
I just thought that was amazing.
So this is just the front page. You can see right now Bitcoin is at $8,200 over the last week. That's down quite a bit actually. But of the top 10, everybody's up, at least for today, except for Litecoin, which is weird because they usually track pretty well with the rest. But it is what it is. So if we look at Biblepay, or BBP as our ticker symbol, we're at 37 Satoshi, which is a measure of how many fractions of a Bitcoin you are at. And in real US dollars, we're at about 0.3 of a cent per Biblepay. And if you look at our graph, since the last couple 3 months, we've hovered between 1/4 and 1/3 of a cent pretty readily, which is to me encouraging, as our circulation still is in kind of the rapid increase mode. Being able to keep that price stable while we're still developing mind share is pretty important to me. Our emission schedule, by the way, I don't think we ever talked about, was that our emission schedule drops by 1.5% compounded every month. So what was a maximum of 20,000 coins is now a maximum of, technically we're in like the 7th coin month, so I think we're down to 18,000 and change. Gridcoin, which is the coin that we kind of mirror in a lot of ways, they're at 558 Satoshi. Their market cap is 18 million. And this is not investment advice, but I think that we're doing a lot of things right. And while I don't think we're totally one for one where Gridcoin is at, I don't know why their market cap is 18 million, and we'll go back. Our market cap is 2 million. To me, I think we should be a lot closer, and I don't know. It just seems like we can get there, and I think a lot of it has to do with the exchanges. So, talking about exchanges, we are listed on a new exchange today.
Yes.
QUIX. I was going to see if I could pull it up, see if we're live. Is it live yet? Do you know?
Yes, it went live at 0000 UTC, so about a couple hours ago.
There it is.
And QIEX is an exchange based in Hong Kong, China. They're fairly new, and we just got listed today along with Raven Coin and Groessel Coin.
So I just pulled it up, so I'm gonna switch our views real quick so we can see it. There we go. So if you look, Bitcoin to Biblepay and Biblepay to US dollar, we're in the top banner. I mean, hot diggity. I have no idea how this exchange will work or how well it will do, but it's exciting to be at least a part of it right now. 24-hour volume, 15,000 coins already.
Yeah, it's great to be on exchanges because at some point in Biblepay's life, we only had one exchange still going. So it's nice to have backup exchanges.
And that's one thing we do get a lot of gruff, I guess, about we're not on all these big exchanges and all this sort of stuff. But the funny thing to look at is if you look at other coins around our age that started midsummer, a lot of them aren't on any exchange. And we were on an exchange pretty much from the get-go. That was due to the developers' connections, I guess you could say, professional connections that he had to one of the operators of CSEX. So I do want to talk about the Biblepay Central site, and because I think Biblepay Central is doing a fantabulous job, so I'm going to switch over to them. And they're kind of the one-stop shopping in my book. If I'm telling someone to learn about Biblepay, that's where I would send them. Biblepay-central.org. So it shows your current version, has a link to the home page, a link to the source code at GitHub, has some very good documentation for mining. It reflects the information you would see at CoinMarketCap, tells you how many sanctuaries you are, it tells you right now $4,463 is the average Biblepay revenue a day that a sanctuary or masternode's getting, which is 105% rate of return. Talks about the two Biblepay pools. This website's actually associated with Pure Pool, so it has a little better stats for Pure Pool than the official Biblepay pool. It has some very interesting things about proof of distributed computing. You can come here, you can type in your username, and it will give you some observations. And I'm not wanting to brag, but I'm number 7 here, and it's easy for me to pick it up. So it'll tell you what the super block was, what your reward was, and I find that this data is not 100% accurate, but it's close, and it gives you an estimate of what your next super block payment will be, what your recent average credit is, what your Biblepay RAC is, and the thing that has confused a few people I've talked to about is why is the Biblepay RAC and your RAC different? There's two factors. One, at World Community Grid, you get 1.5 times credit for your RAC, and then 2, if you don't have the proper UTXO, which I don't right now, then that modifies your RAC downward. So that's actually my modified Biblepay RAC. If I had 100% staking, it would be 20% higher, I guess. But I'm going to back up here. Then it has a blockchain explorer, shows what's been going on with the blockchain, and it has the budgets. So the next super block is 49,200 block, so that's going to be around May 28th at the current rate. There's 15,375,000. I can't read, it's getting late, in the budget. And right now, the charity budget of 7,687,500, $5 million has been requested. The IT budget of 3.8 million has had 424,000 requested. Although the main dev Rob tends to put his in near the end of the cycle, and try and absorb a lot of the budget just to pay for things that he's developed over time that he's not been able to get paid for. The PR budget at 1.9 million, there's been 1.8 million requested, and the P2P at 1.9 million has nothing requested right now. So this graph on the side is pretty handy dandy. Shows how much of the budget has been requested for each thing, and right now there's 8 million Biblepay in the budget that is not currently requested.
Ooh, yeah, and this is going to be our 5th budget cycle. And one of the cool things about Biblepay is that there were no coins that were pre-mined, and so Biblepay has been entirely self-funded, self-bootstrapping itself through this monthly budget. And it's been amazing that there's been so many people that have come and done work and been paid in Biblepay coins. And if there's any work that you'd like to do, you can come and do work and get paid.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can request to get paid. There's a difference. But I'm going to shift over to the Biblepay pool site, and the Biblepay pool site has a lot of non-pool stuff. But on there, if you go to governance and proposal list, which I already have, takes you here, and under governance proposal add, you can add a proposal. Now, you have to have 2,500 Biblepay to submit a proposal, much like in Dash. You have to have 5 Dash to submit a proposal, and then it gets voted upon. Right now, looks like pretty much everything that's been submitted is passing for the most part, and there's a few things that no one's voted on yet. But we've still got a lot of time to get there. But right now, the current proposals, there's the new wallet theme and design, which I think the wallet theme is gorgeous. The only thing I don't like about it is on my machine that is when I VPN into my machine locally, the display defaults to 600 by 800 due to my VPN software and my display, and it's kind of hard to get around with that sidebar. But other than that, it looks gorgeous. The Mac OS compiling, that'll be a big deal. The new exchange fund, which that's just a general fund where we're trying to raise money. And is it Yop that has that, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is his third one. He goes and sells the Biblepay coins, and he's holding on to Bitcoin for our future exchange listing fees.
Because unfortunately, getting listed on an exchange is not usually a cheap or free process. And having some coin to back you is probably good from a long-term basis. The Togo mixed bag is our very own Togo here. He does a lot of work. I mean, toot your own horn here. You do a lot of stuff especially on Reddit and Bitcoin Talk.
I've done a lot of social media work. I've documented a lot of things, technical writing, different public relations stuff, support, all sorts of things, wherever I can help.
There's a canoeing trip for children from the children's home. I haven't actually read that proposal yet. The Crypto Bridge exchange listing, which we need to raise.
The fee is going to be 1 Bitcoin.
And I don't know. I don't understand that one, I guess, but I haven't read the proposals yet. Cameroon 1, round 3 of funding. The Biblepay hard copy guide. Is that Habib doing that?
I think so. We'd have to open it up.
And then there's open it. Oops, I don't want to do that. Just open it in a new tab here. Looks like it probably is.
Yeah, I know Habib just recently did a radio interview in Ghana, Africa.
And he did our first. He did some. Was it also in Ghana where he was?
I believe so. Or somewhere. Yeah, he did our first conference tour.
We're lazy Americans. We don't really know where anything is in the rest of the world. But that's anything against Crypto Shot Habib. That's more self-deprecation here. But yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff over there, and this is specifically a major conference in Ghana. So I don't remember off the top of my head where the first one was, if it was in Ghana as well. And then Yop, who's been involved with the website, doing stuff. You know a little more what been.
Yop he's done a ton of support. He's helped a lot of people out in the forums. So I'm really happy that he's asking for compensation, because he's done a ton of volunteer work in the past 3 months.
And that's actually a good discussion, is that a lot of people start off doing volunteer work and kind of getting their feet wet, and then get to the point where they're actually making a pretty good contribution and ask for compensation. And by that time, if we know you, we'll usually support you. As long as you're not asking for something just way out frivolous. And the only other exception is sometimes some areas of the budget get kind of compact with other proposals. And if you're a newer user, it may take you a little bit more to kind of get yours kicked to the cycle, because there may be stuff ahead of you that more long-winded folks have put in. But I don't know. That's just kind of my observation on it. I think that's near the end. Now, we were going to talk about, have you heard any good crypto rumors lately? There was one that we talked about when we did this show, and it didn't record, and I can't remember what it was. It's something.
I cannot remember.
It's something. And if you are, so let's just talk a little bit about one other coin. And this, again, we're not trying to shill for any other coins. So when we mention Gridcoin as being influential on us, it's not us, necessarily talking good nor bad, for that matter, about Gridcoin, although I think they do good work. There's another coin out there called Byteball, and if you're doing research at World Community Grid, and I read about this. Did you know Ripple? You of course know Ripple, the coin, right?
Yes.
Ripple actually gave away a bunch of coin to people that were researchers at World Community Grid.
I read about that.
So that's essentially what Bytecoin's trying to do, get their coins spread out. So if you're mining Biblepay through proof of distributed computing, boink, and you're using the World Community Grid, you owe it to yourself to at least look into Byteball. There are some tutorials online. The basic thing is you download the wallet, you talk to their chat bot, which is kind of crazy to think about. You need to check it out. You need to download their wallet. It's pretty sweet. You talk to their chat bot and tell their chat bot you'd like to join their cause a little bit, the chatbot gives you a username that you change your username to. You change your username at World Community Grid to this byteball underscore 6 or 8 characters. You tell the chatbot that, hey, I've done this. The chatbot goes, gotcha. Then you can change your name back to your original name and then tell the chatbot, hey, I changed my name back, but now that it knows to look for that computer ID or user ID, it will track your username change. So you don't have to be advertising for Byteball on anywhere except for a few moments. And then every 150,000, they're not credits, they're points that you get on World Community Grid. Byteball will send a $2 chunk of Byteball to you. So it's interesting. It's a way to double dip if you want, but it won't to get 150,000 points at World Community Grid would probably earn you, I hesitate to say, but it would be a lot more lucrative in Biblepay. But having $2 worth of Bitcoin, hey, I'm not one to turn down another crypto, right? So that's kind of our plan. Our plan in the future, we'd like to just basically cover where the coin is at as far as what the last mandatory was. The next mandatory is probably not going to be till June. I'm not really sure what
June 26th.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to fix the block timing a little bit more, was the last thing I read, was to try and, right now our blocks average about 200 a calendar day, to kind of tighten that timing up to get it pretty spot on to 205.
This should also fix the bug where when we have our monthly budget, the daily PODC payment doesn't work.
Yeah, so
every 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so the PODC payment's based on a super block. So one of the 205 blocks is a super block, and the problem is the monthly budget is also a super block, and there can, like they always say, there can only be one. So on the day of the monthly super block, since the monthly super block is bigger, it supersedes the daily super block, and it causes problems. But the upgrade, the June mandatory upgrade, should correct that so that we can have a daily super block that is for PODC and the monthly super block and receive them all along. But that would be pretty ideal. You know anything else about what the?
I'm not sure of anything else.
I couldn't remember. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was one thing I had read about.
Yeah, and Rob, the creator and lead developer of Biblepay, he does have the fix. He got the fix right away, but he's trying to only do mandatory upgrades every 3 months so that we don't upset the different exchanges that we're on and upset the users and miners.
Right. The last mandatory upgrade was kind of 1.22 was kind of out of the blue to fix a pretty big problem that just couldn't wait until June. But that's the one nice thing about this coin. We have essentially one major developer and several other developers that are helping at this point, which is great. But he is heart and soul in this coin, and has brought us from the ashes into where we're at. And again, not investment advice, but I can't help but think we're destined for having a really good year in terms of, if you look where we were at in August of last year to where we're at in May of 2018, it's almost a brand new coin, but it's a brand new coin in a good way. I'm looking at my notes. I think we've covered everything. So we want to talk about, next time we'll talk a little bit about where we're at, where we're going. We'll look at where price-wise is, where we're at on World Community Grid and Rosetta at Home, where our team RAC is going, which by next time we do this will at least be 7th overall, and hopefully we'll get one in before we're 3rd overall, because that's like 60 days away. But I can't commit to it, and I know Togo can't commit to it, but our hope is that we can pull off this show about once every 2 weeks. Just kind of probably not as long-winded as we were here today, but we would like to, if you have any questions, you can shoot one to us at Discord or here at YouTube. You can hit us up on Slack. Although I think we're both probably on Discord a little bit more than Slack most of the time. I hang out on Discord when I'm free, so if you have problems, just hit me up. I'm sure Togo is the same
yeah, I'm always available.
And we'll try and walk you through it. But if we see something that's coming up again and again and again, we'll talk about it. It's not really intended this will be a technical show where we're going to walk you through like how to make your own master node, which I was going to do tonight, but we had the opportunity to do this show. I wanted to get this off the ground. But there are some technical videos out there, and hopefully will be some more. Some big things developing with the Biblepay pool for people that are trying to participate but don't quite understand the staking mechanism or having trouble getting Biblepay bought at an exchange to then stake with. I'd like to talk about the exchanges at some point. We'd like to at some point get some other people on the show, either pre-recorded, but like Yop, we'd love to get back on here so we can talk to him and then talk about what projects he's been working on in the Biblepay community. We'd love to get Rob on here, but Rob's a little busy to put it. And as not busy as Togo and I are, to have this much trouble to get our schedules to coincide, getting our schedules to coincide with Rob's is probably like a lunar eclipse level of events. But the hope is that we can have other guests. I did reach out to one of the World Community Grid Project people and the Ebola at Home, and I don't think she understood what I was asking. But I would like to get people from the projects that we support through Boink on here to just talk a couple minutes about their project. I'd love to get one of the representatives from Compassion, even if it's just on the phone. And I think we're really going to strive for doing that by about the third show, is at least have a segment where we talk to one of the Compassion representatives, talk about what their mission is, and really how Biblepay has contributed. And that should put, there's still a few people that are just, there's the information that shows where we've sponsored orphans, and unfortunately in this world there's a lot of people that will do or say anything to make a buck, and people are skeptical. And when you bring a coin out that says we're a cryptocurrency for Christians, that raises a lot of eyebrows, because that seems like it could be a predatory sort of thing. And a testament to the fact we're not is just how long we've been here, all the things that we're doing, and I hope we can put more things at ease. But if you have any questions, comments, post them below. We'll try and address them, or hit us up on Discord, hit us up on Bitcoin Talk. Just enjoy, and thank you for being part of our inaugural show. And if you have a name for it, we would appreciate it, because we've asked Togo's cat and no response. No response at all. But hopefully we'll do this again in a couple weeks. Hopefully we can tell you where we're at with, I don't know, in a couple weeks we should be probably around 220 or 230 all time at World Community Grid. We should be 7th or 6th on, maybe 5th all time on Rosetta at Home, and it should be a good time. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for spending a long amount of time listening to two guys, primarily one, rattle on and on. And I do thank you, Togo, for being on and making the time for this. I have a lot of fun doing things like this, so it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. You're awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I wasn't after praise nor adulation, but I'll accept it. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you hopefully in about 2 weeks.